Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a very interesting term that has made a news headline. The term is animal diplomacy. Now, diplomacy is a term that you all must have heard about, which generally refers to furthering a relationship or developing cooperation between two different nations or several nations. Now, what is animal diplomacy? And does it portray a soft power of a nation? And if yes, then to what extent has it been successful, and what can be its scope in the future as far as the relation between two different countries and nations are concerned. So first of all, to give you the brief context why we are talking about these, and overall if you talk about first of all before coming to the term animal diplomacy. Now we know that for a very long period of time, countries across the world have engaged in signing up of agreements, signing up of treaties, and even having a conversation handshakes to create ties, and this is something that has been done by the delegates, diplomats as well as the leaders of the nations. However, amid serious world politics that happen, there is an odd yet very effective diplomatic tool that is known as animal diplomacy. Now, this tool has been used by many countries in the past, and China has been, we can say, the major user of this tool. However, in recent times, Malaysia, which is a Southeast Asian country, well known for its natural rubber as well as palm oil plantation, it has decided to basically use the same animal diplomacy to further its relationship between the importer nations. And this diplomacy they have named as orangutan diplomacy. Now, orangutan, you know that it is a type of great apes that are found in the equatorial rainforest such as Indonesia and Malaysia. So, basically the world's second largest palm oil producer, that is Malaysia, it is aiming to improve its environmental image by putting forward the orangutan diplomacy. Now, basically what happens, due to the cultivation of palm oil, a large area of equatorial rainforest is being destroyed by the Malaysians, as well as same thing happens in the case of Indonesia. Now, due to this, what happens, the orangutan who lives in such kind of equatorial rainforest, their habitat is being endangered. So, by using orangutan diplomacy, Malaysia is trying to improve or better its image. They plan to basically give orangutans to all the countries that purchase the palm oil from Malaysia, and this includes India as well. Now, many experts are arguing that this step of Malaysia is basically inspired by China. So, let us try to understand about this in context of China also. So, China has been using its panda diplomacy, as we can say, to further its interest. And this gesture aims to show Malaysia's concern for endangered apes, and their habitats are often destroyed by palm oil plantations that we already have discussed. Now, inspired by China's panda diplomacy, Malaysia hopes this move will ease global concern about the environmental impact of the palm oil production. That is something that the environmentalists also across the world are talking about. This unconventional, however, yet we can say effective strategy speaks volume about the power of cultural exchanges, because animal diplomacy, we can say, is nothing but an example of cultural exchanges in shaping the global politics. Now, this is something which is not new. If we talk about animal diplomacy in the general sense, it has been going on for a very long period of time. However, let us try to understand that how does it works. So, let us first of all try to define what do we mean or understand by the term animal diplomacy. In simple terms, we can define it. It involves giving or lending. Lending means the animals can be lended for short period of time. Animals as a sign of friendship or goodwill between the countries. Now, it is not that the random animals selected for that. Generally, we see that the countries who are engaged in animal diplomacy, they choose such animal which are having cultural significance, or animals which are indigenous to that country alone. That means it cannot be found in other countries, making it very exotic in nature. And it is because of their cultural significance as well as indigenous nature, these animals become an influential instrument for diplomacy. And that is why Chinese use panda for this diplomacy, because pandas are very exotic animals which are not found in any other part of the world. And this practice did not begin with the current Chinese government, rather it has been going on since the Tang dynasty, which was in power in China. And emperors of Tang dynasty, they were the one who began to give away pandas to the foreign rulers to portray or convey a symbol of peace as well as cooperation between the nations. Consequently, the receiving state usually agrees to protect such a species, besides this thereby furthering harmonization between the nations as well. So that is something that China has been doing for a quite long period of time. However, if you go further back into the history, let us try to understand the origin of animal diplomacy. So as far as the recorded history is concerned, the first record of such animal diplomacy has been obtained from the ancient civilization of Egypt, where the pharaohs used to rule. And it is during the times of pharaoh, they used to give each other rare animal, basically to show off their wealth as well as power. And in this context, we have the record of the pharaoh Hatshepsut, who sent a giraffe as a present to the king of Syria somewhere around 1500 BC. That means in one way we can say the first recorded history of animal diplomacy goes as long or as back to the 1500 BC. And that giraffe that has been given by the pharaoh Hatshepsut, this we can see it has been captured in the paintings also, the mural paintings that has been done in those areas. Now further coming back, in the Middle Ages and also during the time of Renaissance period, that means we can say somewhere between 1300 to 1800, that time in the Europe, animal diplomacy picked up its pace. And it is during this time, a lot of European kings frequently used to exchange animals such as lions and tiger in order to show their authority over nature. And these majestic beasts, that means lions and tigers we are talking about, were considered as symbol of mightiness as well as grandeur, which could only be preserved for the wealthy class. So not only it was used to better relationship or the relationship between the nations and king, rather the exchange of these animals were considered as portrayal of wealth and power. Now, if you try to understand, animals such as lions and tigers are not naturally found in the European continent. And that is why these kings and the rulers used to take these animals from their natural habitat, such as Africa, Asia, and then they used to capture them, and then how they are able to exchange it. And it is due to this precise reasons you will see that the importance of animals such as lions are clearly seen in European history, because if you go to any major European city, you will see the statue of lion that has been erected. And it is not a small statue, but large statues of lion everywhere across the European cities you will see scattered and lying around, despite, as we have discussed, these animals do not have their natural habitat in the European continent. So the importance is from the animal diplomacy time. If we try to understand the animal diplomacy in Asia, so in Asia we have the record of elephants that were given highest recognition levels, including in India also, because elephants are considered to be the animals having a great extent of wisdom, strength, and also they are considered as a symbol of good luck. So the mighty creatures, that is elephants, were presented by kings to their foreign counterparts as a sign of deference as well as a sign of solidarity. And here during such time the elephants would act as a messengers between these countries also. And that is why we can understand that in India and also in other Southeast Asian nations, such as even in Thailand, the elephant diplomacy was something that was observed. Now we talk about the recent examples where we can see the successful or the success of the animal diplomacy. So 2-3 examples we can quote here. First was recently in the month of November 2023, when a meeting was organized between the Chinese Premier Xi Jinping and the US President Joe Biden. They basically decided, or the signs emerged of a significant diplomatic move, and the revival of China's famed panda diplomacy with US has been making the news. And Mr. Z, he has hinted that there is a possibility of resuming panda exchange that has been stopped due to the deteriorating relationship between China and USA, and it marks a potential thaw in the bilateral relations. So that is how you can understand the power and significance of animal diplomacy. The thaw in the bilateral relations between US and China is marked by the exchange of panda, and in this context China has decided that it will renew its panda diplomacy effort and is planning to loan a pair of pandas to the San Diego Zoo of United States of America. Not only that, China is also trying to increase this kind of diplomacy, and the currently talks are ongoing with several other nations such as Austria, such as Madrid, that is Spain is there, as well as even in Washington DC, which signals a broader outreach in China's diplomatic animal exchanges programs. If you try to understand this from the world map, these are the countries who China has exchanged or given the panda to. So the countries you can see, we have Japan is there here, then you have Russia, then you have in the Western European countries such as United Kingdom, we have France, Germany, Poland. Then in the Southeast Asia, so many countries China has given panda to, such as Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, even Australia to the further south, and obviously in the North America to the USA, Mexico, and even in South America we can see the Chinas have used their panda diplomacy. So it is becoming a part of their diplomatic tool. Not only China, other countries also from time to time have used the animal diplomacy. And this context we can take example of year 2014, when a G20 summit was being held in Australia. Australia used its flagship animal species, that is kangaroo, to use it as a tool of diplomacy. And it was kangaroo diplomacy which made use of Australia's natural environment, which is full of diverse species of flora and fauna, including koalas. And since koalas are also very unique kind of animal species found in Australia only, koala diplomacy also made a headline after a few years. So these cuddly animals ambassadors became unexpected symbols, we can say. As you can see from the photos here, the leaders of the G20 summit, they are holding the koalas. So they became symbols of what? Countries' warm welcome to the guest. This is also a method of welcoming the guest, because in diplomatic relations, when a country leader is visiting the other nation, then obviously the welcoming is the first step. So by welcoming through koalas as well as good stewards of nature in whom they were embodying its commitment to conservation and sustainability. So not only they make the headlines, they capture the picture, but also they represent, what do they represent? They represent the commitment to conservation efforts for the habitat as well as the animal species altogether. Now, as we have discussed before, if we talk about the Thailand, a small country lying in the Southeast Asia, so the gifting of elephants, which are a very majestic creatures, obviously represents strength and loyalty and has remained the part of Thai diplomacy for ages. Similarly, if we talk about a Central Asian nation such as Turkmenistan, in Turkmenistan, as you can see from this given picture here, they have very unique and attractive breed of the horse that is called as Akhal Teke horses. And Turkmenistan, since every now and then basically engaged in exchanging and gifting these Akhal Teke horses for being fast as a diplomatic gifts, basically you can say. So as you can see, though when we talk about animal diplomacy, China's panda diplomacy makes a headline or captures a larger share of this kind of diplomatic tool. However, every now and then several other countries are there as well who have used or continuously been using this as a tool of diplomacy. So in conclusion, what we can say, that obviously as time passes, as world become more and more connected, the animal diplomacy has the potential to move beyond only feel-good tactics. That means the focus should be on collaborative efforts in conservation, while at the same time allowing room for the new players as well. And it can become an instrument of fostering international cooperation on pressing environmental concerns as well. So that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood about the broad concept of the animal diplomacy and how to what extent it can help in furthering bilateral or multilateral relations, and also to what extent it can further the collaborative venture between the several nations to protect and preserve the environment, animals and their habitats.